It was just another chilly morning when a call came in from a local passerby who had spotted something moving beneath a collapsed garden shed. The voice on the phone trembled as they described a small puppy, barely alive, crawling in the mud alone. They didn't know the full story, yet none of us did, but something about that call felt different. There was urgency in the air, something you can't quite explain unless you've heard the sound of desperation in silence. And so, without wasting a second, we grabbed our gear, packed a warm blanket, a small medical kit, and drove straight to the location. When we arrived, everything looked still too still. The shed had caved in during a recent storm, and under the twisted wood and scattered metal lay the remnants of a home long lost. We carefully approached, calling out softly. That's when we saw him. A pair of wide, muddy eyes looked up at us from beneath a torn mattress. He didn't bark. He didn't run. He just stared. Covered in grime, shivering uncontrollably, his body was so small, it barely rose with each breath. This puppy had been through more than we could imagine, but somehow, he had survived. We dropped to our knees, extending a hand with a few soft words. He didn't move at first, but then, with a heartbreaking mix of caution and hope, he dragged himself forward, his little paws barely able to grip the earth. Every step was slow and painful, but he kept moving toward us. That moment was like watching pure courage wrapped in fur and fear. We reached him just in time. He collapsed into our arms, and that was when we noticed the worst part. His ribs were visible beneath his patchy coat, and his back leg looked twisted, likely broken days earlier. The thought of how long he had waited there alone, cold and in pain, tore through us. We rushed him to our rescue center, wrapped in that warm blanket. We named him Grit, because no other name felt right. He was grit, personified, tough, enduring, and unbelievably brave. The vet's initial assessment was cautious. Grit had severe malnutrition, dehydration, and that broken leg had already begun to swell. But he was alive, and that was more than we could have hoped for. As they cleaned him up, we watched layers of dirt wash away to reveal not just his soft brown fur, but the tiniest spots on his nose and ears, like he had been dipped in speckles of hope. As the vet worked, we learned that Grit hadn't just survived the storm, he had lost his entire family. Evidence nearly sight, tiny remains, and sad traces of others beneath the collapsed shed confirmed our worst fears. Grit was the only one left. And yet, despite all that loss, despite the physical pain and trauma, he had chosen to live. That first night, Grit didn't sleep much. Neither did we. He would whimper in his dreams, the kind of cries that cut right through the walls of a heart. We stayed with him, one hand always resting beside his small body to remind him he wasn't alone anymore. The days that followed were slow. Grit had to be fed through a dropper at first. His stomach couldn't handle much. We had to carry him outside for fresh air, gently supporting his back legs. But the change in his eyes told us everything. They weren't wide with fear anymore. Now they've watched us with curiosity, sometimes even a spark of playfulness. Each time we cleaned his wounds or gave him medicine, he would let out a little sigh, as if he knew we were helping him heal. 2 weeks in, Grit finally took his first unassisted steps. It was a clumsy stumble across a fluffy rug, but we clapped like he had won the gold medal. His tail wagged just once, but that wag was a celebration, and soon we saw more of them. We learned that Grit loved warm socks and had a strange obsession with sleeping inside laundry baskets. He would curl up between clothes like they were clouds made just for him. He started following us around, even dragging his little splinted leg behind him. Every corner of the rescue center became his adventure zone. But his favorite thing of all? People. He loved everyone, even after all he'd been through. Grit never held back his love. He would greet volunteers with a wag and a lick, climb into laps like he belonged there, and gently place his paw on your chest if you looked sad. He became the emotional center of our rescue. Even the shy dogs took to him. It was like Grit reminded them that survival wasn't just about the body, it was about spirit, about choosing love, even when life had been unfair. Watching him nap with other rescues huddled beside him, we often found ourselves wondering, how can something so small carry so much light? We documented his journey in small clips: his first tail wag, his first bite of solid food, the day he barked for the first time and shocked even himself. And the world noticed. His story spread. Letters poured in. People from all over sent messages of support and donations in his name. Children drew him pictures, and rescue groups asked about his recovery. Grit became a symbol of strength, of healing, and of second chances. The day the cast came off his leg, we held our breath. Would he run? Would he be scared? But Grit didn't wait for ceremony. He took off across the yard like the wind had missed him, zigzagging through grass and sunbeams with his tongue lolling out in pure joy. We laughed and cried. He was whole again, not just physically, but emotionally. And in that moment, we knew it was time to find his forever home. It wasn't easy. We screened dozens of applicants. Grit needed more than love, he needed patience. Someone who understood what he'd overcome and what he needed to thrive. Then we met Mia, a gentle woman with a quiet smile and soft voice. Mia had lost her husband the year before, and had been looking for a companion, not just any dog, but one with a story. When she met Grit, he ran right into her arms and refused to leave. It was like watching two souls who had lost everything find home in each other. The day Grit left to rescue, we stood at the gate, a bittersweet ache in our hearts. He looked back once, and for a moment, we swore. He smiled. Now, we get regular updates. Grit spends his mornings sunbathing on Mia's porch, his afternoons napping beside her reading chair, and his evenings playing with the neighborhood kids. He wears a little scarf now, green with tiny white bones, and still sleeps in laundry baskets. We rescued a gritty puppy who lost his family, but what he gave back his courage, his love, his light heals people every single day. Grit didn't just survive, he taught us what it means to live. If Grit's story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Rescue Animal Tales. Your support helps us rescue more beautiful souls just like Grit. Every share, every view, and every kind word makes a difference. Thank you for being part of this journey.